Foreclosures. That's the topic for today's episode, and without further ado, let's dive in. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode. So I'm still in Thailand over here. This topic actually came about from one of the viewers that had actually asked me to create something on foreclosure. So I want to take a moment to just let you guys know that I have closed properties in foreclosure, but I'm not an expert on it. But what I can do is to share with you how I approached it when I first was able to purchase the property and help my parents actually invest in a foreclosure property. When I'm back in the hotel, I'm going to show you my screen and share all the steps that I actually took to buy a foreclosure property and completely flip it around and turn it to what it is today. So at the time, the property was purchased at $450,000, I remember, and today is actually worth $1.2 million, and it's located in New York. So let's dive into my computer and cover everything I know. Okay, so I'm back into the hotel now, and we're gonna get ready to jump into the screen. But before we do that, I need to clarify three things, right? So, okay, while I was editing, I realized that I never covered the concept of foreclosure. So for those who don't know, and to bring everyone up to speed, a foreclosure is the legal process by which a lender takes control of a property, evicts the homeowner, and sells the home after a homeowner is unable to make full principal and interest payments on his or her mortgage as stipulated in the contract. Now, if you are a real estate investor, this concept also applies to you. So if you default on the mortgage payments, you also run the risk of getting into a foreclosure. So now let's get back into the content that I originally recorded. See you guys. Right? So there are three stages to a foreclosure process. The first one is what I like to call pre-foreclosure, and it's when the investor or the homeowner starts defaulting on payment. And the bank typically allows you, let's say, about 3 to 6 weeks to kind of like fix the issue, whatever's happening in your life, whether you lost a tenant, whether you lost your job. And depending on the bank, it can take up to 3 to 6 months. And if you don't make the correction, what they will do is that they will just simply post your property for sale at the courthouse. And so, full disclaimer for those who don't know, banks do not want to foreclose on anybody. They don't like that. Banks are in the business to make money, so having to foreclose on a property actually costs them money, and it's something that they will really try to avoid at all costs. So if they have the opportunity to actually work with the homeowner or even with the investors to remediate the situation and help them come up to speed with the payments, they will try to do that at all costs. So just so you know that. And the second stage is the auction process. So what happens is after 4 to 6 months, if the bank or the homeowner or the investor per se couldn't come up with a plan to come up to speed with the payments, they will proceed to the auction sale, and you have to go into the courthouse and make a bid. If you win the bid at that auction, you have to make a deposit, and you have up to 24 to 48 hours or something like that to make the purchase. And that's when having a hard money lender comes in really, really handy for you. And if that doesn't happen, let's say people have made the bid or just simply no one is interested in bidding in that specific property, it hits the third stage of the foreclosure process, which goes to the REO section on the bank's website. So in a few, I'm going to show you what that tab or what that website looks like, but it's a listing of all properties that are typically foreclosed on. So depending on each of the stages of the foreclosure process, purchasing or investing in the property is gonna be either more or less challenging depending on how you want to look at it. So during the pre-foreclosure process, which is when the homeowner or the investor starts defaulting on the payment, the house typically is still in good quality. a way to find out how a house is in that pre-foreclosure state is to do drive for dollars, which I'm sure some of you are actually familiar with the term, where you drive around neighborhoods and you start taking a look at houses where the grass is growing a little tall or it's not so well maintained compared to the rest of the houses. Then that's a cue for you to kind of like, all right, maybe either they're on vacation and this is a vacation home for them, and or if there's people living in the house, then they might be going through a foreclosure situation where they are starting to default on the payments, and sooner or later, if they don't come up to speed with the payments, that's when they're gonna hit that foreclosure process. So that's when you want to go ahead and send your email marketing or your mail marketing, whatever your marketing strategy is, to try to get them sell you the house. Once you get into that second stage, then in my view, it gets a little bit more challenging because you're going to have to go to the courts and you have a bunch of other people bidding at a war versus on that first stage and that pre-foreclosure when you don't have anyone competing with you at the time. Although, I mean, other real estate investors might be competing with you. So I'll leave that up to you to decide which is either more challenging or less challenging for you. But then once you hit that third stage, once it hits that REO website, there's a lot of repairs that you're going to have to factor in your investment. So it's not just the amount of money that you have to spend on purchasing that property, but how much you have to invest on getting it either rent ready or flipping it around so you can resell it again. Those are some of the factors that you might want to take into account before purchasing a house for an investment once it's hit the third stage of foreclosure, which is when it's on the REO list. So now we're going to jump into my laptop and show you the steps that I took, because the house that I helped my parents buy for their investment was actually at the third stage of the foreclosure. There was a lot to do in it. So without further ado, let's just dive into my laptop. Okay, so we're now back into my laptop screen, and we're gonna go ahead and open a new tab and type in REO, let's say Wells Fargo. And it doesn't have to be Wells Fargo. It can be any other bank. It's just Wells Fargo came on the top of my head. It just helps out for simplicity purposes. And we're going to come into the website and we're going to look into this link right here that says search our property listings. And we're going to go ahead and let's say select New York in this case. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at the listings. So they have a total of 6 listings on properties that are in foreclosure that were originally financed by Wells Fargo, and now they're back into their foreclosed listings of homes. So you can see there's a big variety of different homes in different counties. And let me see if there's one in New York City that we can actually do a quick test on. Unfortunately, there's none, but I'm going to show you why I was actually looking into that. And so, for example, let's say we have a property in New Rochelle and I want to check on the details, right? So here's the pictures and you can take a look at the property. I mean, it looks somewhat decent. Like there isn't much that needs to be done. And the property, the kitchen seems to be functional. So does the bathroom, the floors look in good condition and stuff like that. And so $206,000, it is a co-op. And here's a brief description of the property. And this is what they're asking for. So when I helped my parents with the purchase of their foreclosure property, we were facing a lot of code violations. So the original homeowner or investor at the time started doing a bunch of different constructions that were not up to code, or maybe he didn't file for any of the permits that were required at the time. So by the time we bought the house, there was over $100,000 just in fines that we needed to get those resolved. So typically you have 2 choices with those. You can either hire an expediter, and this person will go to court and fight for you and represent you in court and will work on reducing those fines. So you can either do that or you can just go to court yourself and fight for those reductions. I personally chose to hire an expediter at the time for 2 reasons.
One, she had a lot of experience, which was something that I did not have, and I was afraid that if I showed up to court, I wasn't really gonna get much out of it because I didn't really know what I was fighting against. And two, I also worked a full-time job, so I couldn't really afford to take time off just to go to court for something that was uncertain for me. But you can certainly do that yourself, do the proper research, and just go to court and try to reduce those if you want. But in my opinion, hiring an expediter was definitely an investment worth every penny. But if you are to do research on your own, for illustration purposes, I'm going to go to the Department of Building Violations. In this case, in New York City, I was actually playing around with another property in Florida that I was checking out as part of the REO listing in Wells Fargo, but I'm not familiar with the Pinellas County website, so I'm just going to stick to what I know for sure, which is the New York City one, and that's the website that I actually use myself. So you're going to go into this link. You just type in Department of Building Violations New York City, or Pinellas, or Jacksonville, or I don't know, Montgomery, whatever city is it that you live in or that you plan to invest in. And there should be a city website or a county website where you can actually check that information out. So once you're in the DOB website, the Department of Building website, I went into this second link that says check violation status using their building system information, and then I came into building information search. So once you're into this page, right, you're gonna go ahead and select whatever information you have available on the property that you're interested in. So you can type in, let's say, Queens. In this case, house number, I don't know, let me just come up with an answer. CVS in Queens, something like that. And then, all right, so we have this address. It says 8911 Northern Boulevard. So we're going to type in 8911 and then Northern Boulevard. And see if they actually have any type of violations. So it's going to show you the profile of the property. And as you scroll down, you're going to see the number of complaints that they have, violations per DOB. Once you click on the link, you're going to see how many violations they have dismissed. So they have one that is active and it was issued as to June 22nd of last year. Violation issue for failure to fight 2016 annual high pressure boiler inspection. I mean, it doesn't have a monetary value on it. So I wouldn't be able to speak further to that. But when I actually type in the property that my parents were actually investing on, there was a huge list. I think it was like up to 3 pages in the database, and each door for like thousands of dollars, and they all amounted all the way to over $100,000 in violation. So this is something that you definitely need to look into. So don't be fooled by the low prices of the property and think, oh my god, this is a property located in New York. I mean, this unit right here, it's only 45 minutes to New York City. Very ideal for a commute for those who are actually looking to live a little further away from the city but yet close enough so you can be close to your job and stuff like that. Definitely looked into that. I don't know what the website for violation is for New Rochelle, so that's something that you will require to do some research on. But the process is pretty much the same. You just have to look into the Department of Building and that county that you are investing, and then try to see if there's a database where you can actually search for violations. So that's it for REOs owned by bank. There are other websites out there that you can actually check out. One of them is HomePath, and you can easily look up HomePath by just typing HomePath Foreclosures, and you're gonna see this link right here. So hit click, and you will search for thousands of foreclosed homes instantly in this database. So let's say, for example, I'm gonna go ahead and continue with my with New York City. And here you go. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 homes in total that are in foreclosure, and you can look them up. and see what's happening with them. So we have this house is already under contract, and here's a brief description: sunny pre-war, 2-bedroom apartment, blah 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 blah, and it's asking close to $400,000. It might sound like it's really expensive compare to most areas in the US, but this is actually pretty low for New York City standards, especially around this area. So not bad. It's cool. It looks like it might require some renovations and stuff like that. So those are some of the things that you as a real estate investor or even as a homeowner have to consider into your budgeting, into your planning, should you choose to invest in a property like this. Now, another website that you can also leverage in your search for foreclosed homes are, I think it's called the HUD Foreclosures. Yes, so HUD Foreclosures, and you're gonna find a listing of foreclosed homes, and you will find homes for sale, HUD.gov. So this is the link, and don't worry, I'm going to provide you the links down below. And so if you want to search for a property, related links from Fannie Mae, realtor.com, what we do. So I'm finally on the listing of HUD Homes, and you're going to come here and you're going to search for a property. So let's say, for example, I'm going to stick to New York because it's what I know. And you're going to come into the search box. I'm going to type in New York. I have no preference in any county because I would like to see what's available out there in New York. And voila, here's the listing of all foreclosed homes under HUD. For those who don't understand what the program is, here's another tab. So HUD homes are 1 to 4 unit residential properties acquired by HUD as a result of a foreclosure auction and an FHA insured mortgage. So basically homes that people purchased using an FHA loan, and ultimately they defaulted. They couldn't come up to speed with the payments, and HUD came in and bought them back. For those who don't know what an FHA loan is, here is a link for your reference, and you don't have to get out of the video just to watch that car. I'll definitely provide you the link in the description box down below. But basically, here's the listing. Let's just take a look at some of the properties that are available. So we have Endicott, Broome County, for $55,000. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath property, and here are some of the pictures. Not bad. Size wise, looks pretty good. On the inside, it looks like it will need some updating to be done if you're planning to flip the house. So you need to account for the added cost of flipping this property around to make it ready either for rent or for sale. And here's additional information on the listing information. So the listing price is $55,000. They provide you with FHA financing, and it's eligible for 203k loans. And for those who are unfamiliar with 203k loans, is a loan that will allow you to purchase the property, and they will also provide you with additional money so you can complete the rehab of the property itself. More information, amenities, parking garage, and map. It's going to show you where this is located at. You can zoom in, zoom out. And here's the contact information for the agent, so you can actually either send them an email, give them a call, learn more about the property, and also practice and hone your relationship building skills. Maybe this is a person that can eventually do more business with you down the road in terms of your real estate investments. Now, the property that my parents invested in was actually found through a real estate agent. So I wasn't familiar with any of the websites that I'm sharing with you today. If you want to take the same approach that I took, it's actually easier than you think. All you gotta do is just to go into Zillow.com, and all you gotta do is just to type in foreclosure homes in New York. And there you go, you're gonna find a bunch of them and plenty of inventory for you to choose from. So you can just come in here. Let's say we want to take a look at this property right here. It's 74 days in Zillow. And so you got this house right here. You have the contact information for the realtor. You can actually reach out to this person and learn as much as you can about this house. At a high level, it doesn't seem like you need much work, at least on the kitchen. But then as you scroll down, some of the bedrooms look unfinished, and this seems to be, I'm not sure if it's the basement or maybe the first floor. So some level of work, but overall not so bad. I've seen worse. For example, the house my parents purchased was actually pretty bad. For $299,000 in Stormville, New York, you can actually search it out, and then just simply speak to the agent and ask to see if she has any experience working on foreclosures, and if she has an inventory of any other foreclosed homes in the area, or an area in particular that you might be interested in. And that was basically what I did with my agent at the time, and he found a list of available homes that fit in within the budget. At the time, I wasn't planning on looking into foreclosures, but he did present the house. He asked me to take a look at it, and it turned out to be a great one, great location. Everything fit in. It's just the fact that it was foreclosure, so it was a little bit daunting at the time, but again, I don't regret any of it because I definitely learned a lot from the experience. So that's all I have on foreclosure, and I'm gonna get back out of my screen. See you guys outside at the beach.
All right, so that was everything I had for you today, and hopefully you enjoy it and you're also enjoying this wonderful view. And keep in mind, this could be you somewhere near the future. And just, pursue your dreams and don't give up. You can achieve financial freedom, and it's only a matter of time and perseverance before you can make that happen. If you find the content valuable, please feel free to share the love with someone that you know. And don't forget to hit like or subscribe. And I'll see you guys until next time. Take care. Bye-bye.